Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Katie Romagnolo, and today we are talking about the three surprising traits that successful entrepreneurs have. And let me tell you, I want to jump right into number one because this one kind of blew my mind. When I learned this, all of my past life experience started to make sense to me. And now, whether you are currently an entrepreneur or you are thinking about, do I have what it takes? This is something that might connect a lot of dots for you. I absolutely love working with heart centered entrepreneurs so that they can step into what they're passionate about. And a lot of times that comes from a place of pain. So there's an interesting thing that tends to happen here. And there's been a lot of studies that have been done on this. And the content actually goes really, really deep into childhood adversity. So, if you are a successful entrepreneur, the stats have shown that chances are you have been through some really challenging things in your past. Now, what tends to actually happen here is we get, and I say we because I definitely connect with this particular one as someone who absolutely had the craziest childhood where there was a lot of stressful situations that I was thrown into that as a child I learned to navigate. The thing that happens with that is we sort of subconsciously become addicted to chaos. Now, there's an amazing book that goes into the details of this by Dan Martell, and it's called Buy Back Your Time. So, check that one out if you want to get into some of the specifics here about how being addicted to chaos and childhood adversity is actually something that has helped many entrepreneurs in their climb to where they want to actually be. Now, I do want to say a caveat here that he goes into details about how you do not have to have had challenges in your childhood in order to succeed as an entrepreneur. But it can really help for people like myself who started to understand this concept of really having these interesting situations that were kind of like survival mode at a very, very young age, how that actually helped me as an entrepreneur in my adult years to be able to handle really complex, stressful situations. I now understand that the reason why I'm able to be thrown into something that is all of a sudden changing the plans and you got to move quick, and for most people can feel really constrictive and I don't know what to do in the unknown state. For me, I kind of naturally gravitated to those situations. I became a risk taker and I didn't know why. A lot of people, including my husband, let me say, who is not necessarily a risk taker, was always like, what the heck is going on here? Why are we constantly diving right into the deep end of challenges that are happening and making these really quick decisions on really complex situations? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't go to school to learn how to navigate challenges. Turns out I actually did. And you probably did too, because I think as human beings, we all have gone through our own unique struggles in our childhood in different ways. This doesn't have to be some big catastrophic thing that went on, but I want you to kind of backtrack in your life and notice the times where you actually moved forward from something that was a challenge. Maybe it was bullying, maybe it was not having enough money growing up. I know for myself, I moved out at a very, very young age. And being a teenager on my own and trying to figure out paying bills and navigating all the adulting stuff that generally doesn't come till maybe, 5 to 10 years later for most people, it actually gave me an edge. And you can grab your edge from this too. So, going back and thinking to what were the ways that you had challenges growing up, and how can that actually transfer into a skill as being a self led entrepreneur? Because when things get tough and you have your own business or you are looking to step into the role of creating a business, that's what you're actually going to depend on is your subconscious cues, your muscle memory for jumping into solution mode. And it's not to say that there won't be some struggles and challenges that are sometimes a little, off course from what we expect, but you likely will get this amazing ability to be able to move through them differently. So, number one thing, surprising trait that most successful entrepreneurs have is actually being addicted to chaos. Now, this can go both ways, right? We can get some sort of positive traits on this in the sense of being able to maneuver quickly and go through complex situations and navigate that stress. But addicted to anything is generally not a good thing. We want to have balance in life. So, there's also the side of this that I want to bring attention to say, when we feel constantly drawn into fixing the problems, into, okay, diving deep into what might be going on, I can figure this out type of attitude, what can also happen as an entrepreneur is we start to like put ourselves and our hands in the pots of things that really do not need fixing. So, watching out for this, if you are someone that tends to be really great at getting in the mix and coming up with solutions, that as an entrepreneur, sometimes we can get stuck in trying to create solutions to problems that don't actually exist. So, I have been so guilty of this in the past where when you're in this mode of like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then all of a sudden there's nothing to, I can do this for. And things are normal and calm and regular and peaceful, like most people try to strive for in life. For someone who has had childhood adversity and has lived and thrived through chaos, that can immediately signal this subconscious trigger that says, find the chaos. Where do we need to operate in this chaos? And that, I'm sure you can appreciate without even having to experience it, is not the residing energy that is going to be productive for any business owner. So, learning from the double edged sword of having this natural ability, perhaps, to really deal with challenges quite efficiently and step into that leadership role. You'll notice this within maybe your own family dynamic that you might be the person that people come to when they've got something going on in their lives. That's probably a really good indicator that you've got this really unique trait that you can use and unfold. Now, just being on the side of caution here and understanding that we constantly go through cycles of searching for things that we're used to having. This can also show up with that search for struggle. If you have grown up in a surrounding where it was difficult to make ends meet and you watched your family members struggle, then it might be this sort of innate way of being that you know how that feels. And therefore, it's like its default resonating vibe. I remember when my sister and I were living together as young adults, and we didn't make enough money to make ends meet. And we literally didn't have food. So, for some reason, that wasn't very alarming for us, which, if that's the first time you've ever experienced it and you've always had your needs met, then that might feel like, okay, like this is a really big deal and I'm going to break down and I don't know what to do. But for us, we immediately went into, okay, where do we find food? How do we figure this out? And I am someone that has actively in my younger years actually had to use a food bank in order to make my needs met. And getting over that feeling of, let me tell you, judgment from legitimately needing something that was offered for someone like myself in that circumstance back then, getting over the fact of standing in line at the place that they make you go to get the food, not having any choice of the food you're going to get, but really being like herded through this line with a basket and people who are of so much amazing love and intention giving you things, placing them into your basket to say, here, this is what somebody's donated that we can provide to you. And that was a very humbling experience, but out of necessity, having to, on occasion, really utilize that resource. So that for me transferred into adulthood as this ability to say something is really difficult right now. I got to get into the humble zone of what do I need? How do I ask for help? And actually go with my basket to the person who is coming with love and willing with intention to actually help me in that moment. So, connecting the dots for yourself on where you may have had adversities in your life and how that's given you this amazing grit and heart to come from a place of understanding too. Because I will tell you, as an entrepreneur who really loves to work with other coaches and speakers and real estate agents and professionals of all sorts that want to grow their business, I love working with those who want to step out of their comfort zone, but they're not 100% sure how. those who want the support and saying, I feel like there's something bigger for my life and I've got some things here that are, resonating with me that I'd love to start as a business or expand into, but I don't know if I have what it takes. I love, love, love working in that zone because I have been that person. And that gives me this different, unique perspective on, like, okay, I don't know what it takes. Yeah, that feels a certain way. And here's what we do to navigate the emotional turmoil that pops up at those stages. So, a lot of attention into this particular one, that if you've gone through something painful in your life, it really can lead into your purpose and why you become magnetic to attract the clients and the customers and those that you're meant to serve in the world. It is a beacon that attracts in energy for you. Now, getting into the second here, that is a really surprising thing as to successful entrepreneurs, and a trait that they have is that they are not doing all the work. Okay. So these people that you see, that you admire, perhaps that you see on social media, and that are having these empires that, feel really dreamy to have, we think oftentimes that they've done this like crazy amount of work all the time, every day. And how are they doing all these things? And I can't keep up. I'm not capable of that. I don't have the time or the energy or the money to do the thing that they're doing. Here is the hack to this: it is about focusing, really getting laser focused on the thing that gives you energy. Now, you'll know this by the way that you feel when you do certain things that got to get done. They're legitimately, like, we live in a world, a 3D experience here, where building a business requires XYZ, certain steps. We can logically business plan those steps. But then what happens is, if you're looking through all of the tasks that need to get done to grow to where you want to, and you're noticing how you feel on certain things, like, oh my goodness, I got to go out there and start doing what now? Like, that's way out of my comfort zone. Then naturally our energy contracts and we start to not do the things that we need to do, even if we mentally know, oh, this will be really good. I know if I do this thing that I'll be able to grow my business and get to the next stage. We will self sabotage the things that we don't like doing. Here's the big spoiler: it's actually okay. It's okay to not do the things that don't light you up, but you do need to find a way in order to get them done. So there's lots of out of the box ways that this can occur for you. Now, obviously, the easiest one to think off offhand is like, okay, well, who can I delegate things to? Who could I hire? That's not always the case when we are starting out, when you're growing a business, when we feel like we don't have the funds to allocate to somebody else to do the jobs that doesn't really light us up. There's lots of creative ways that we can figure this out. And let me tell you, that childhood adversity thing tends to really come into play here to figure out some different ways you would have never maybe thought of in order to get resources that could be on exchange. And that could be by providing some sort of, service that actually really lights you up, that you like doing, to somebody else, and with them, where they really love doing the thing that you don't like doing. So get creative with this in your life, and just start off with looking at, what are the things that I'm doing in my business, in my life, that I could just do. I could sing a song while I do them. For me, I love going live. I love speaking. I just love it, guys. Like, I love being here with you. Thank you for tuning in. And it's something that lights me up. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I'm even surprised that it does myself, because growing up as a really shy kid who felt like she couldn't do anything right, this kind of came out of nowhere. But learning that by trying something new, going out of my comfort zone, has opened up this crazy new world of all this miraculous magic and, like, really incredible things that happen. This is true for you too. You just got to find your zone, where it is that your energy should be really allowed to flourish in. So make a list this week and look at the things that really work for you, that you love, that brings you energy, that you could spend time getting lost in, that you find, even maybe if you're nervous doing them, but afterwards it feels like you're on top of the world. Those are the things to pay attention to. What are the things that other people praise you for, that they think, oh, yeah, totally go to Sandy for that. That is her thing. If you need this, go to this person. Notice the things that people refer you for, come to you for, ask for naturally, because there's some sort of zone of genius that's going on there for you that probably lights you up. And the third thing that I want to call attention to today that took me a long time to get. This thing came really hard for me. And I don't want you to have to struggle into the things that you don't need to struggle for because I hustled so hard trying to figure this one out. And that is to get over the fact of being scared to ask questions. I spent a long period of my time thinking that if I asked a question, then I was stupid. If I asked a question, then somebody was going to think, who is this girl? Shouldn't she know this? And I got really stuck into the judgment factor, judging myself first and foremost, that I should know that. Who, like, I should have figured that out. I should have had all these ideas and all this, all the I should have's really stopped me for a long time in my life to asking questions. And the thing is, I used to always say where someone I would notice in, a group or a networking thing or a training thing, that there would be somebody, one in the group that would consistently like ask the questions. And I remember being that person that would think like, what is going on here? Why does this person have so many questions? I have done, let me tell you, this research on people. I went back in my life and did active research to look at the people that I remember asking a lot of questions that I felt too scared to ask, but then I would listen to the answer because it would be like, oh, yeah, 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 I need to know that. I'm too scared to put my hand up, but I need to know that. So, yeah, yeah. And I went back, looked these people up, social media, tried to find, I did the research, and it turns out, I kid you not, that these people became far more successful than I did in their early years. All of them. All the people that I thought, wow, they got a lot of questions. I don't really know. Like I was nervous to ask the questions 15 years ago. They became way more successful than me way earlier. It wasn't until I started to realize every darn question that pops in your head, Katie, ask it. Figure it out. Ask it. Google it. Somebody put up your hand wherever you are. Ask a mentor. Do not be afraid to ask questions because this is where your energy is guiding you to get more knowledge. It is 100% okay. It is celebrated. It is going to get you the results that you really want in your life. And if you are somebody that has had childhood adversity here, where maybe you dealt with bullying or you didn't feel supported in some way in your life and things were a struggle, then it can come a little bit more difficult to actually be the person that asks the questions because it can feel like that tug and pull of what are people going to think of me, or not being the person that is typically had to ask for help and just had to figure things out on your own. There's that little bit of the learning curve to that very simple thing of raising the hand and asking the question that will throw you into so much evolvement as a successful person in whatever your version of life is going to be. You'll never know what's going to open up for you unless you take the next step and get that first little, question, that thing you're wondering about, get the answer to that because that might lead you somewhere else and somewhere else. And then the next thing you know it, you are an incredible expert in your field based on your questions that you asked and now your personal experience of getting that information and absorbing it and embodying all of that amazing wisdom that is trying to actually come through for you when you're getting these nudges to ask questions. So, the three things, like I wish I knew sooner, that took me a long time to hustle and grind through for really just a whole lot of wasted energy that did not get results until I really figured these three things out was number one, my challenges as a child really propelled me to having some cool, unique skill sets. That pain to purpose, that ability to connect into the vulnerability of the tough things that have happened and moving them into a place of solution. Watching out for those moments of looking for more of that chaos, but knowing that you can thrive in really incredibly complex situations gives you an edge. Number two is really focusing your energy on the things that light you up, making that list, noticing what's drawing your energy. I call them the vampire energy suckers, the things that are like, I'm going to dread doing that, but I'm going to have to push through and do it. And then all of a sudden, it's like the worst day ever because you're doing things that you just don't want to do. Figuring out your exchange of time and energy on that to get others to help you is an amazing thing. And number three is really allowing yourself to ask the questions. Everything and anything that comes to mind, ask the question. If you got questions here, I love them. I love questions so very much. This whole show was based on our listeners asking questions. And this has been a really good one that I'm so grateful came up this week. And what are the traits that successful entrepreneurs have? So let me know how this connects with you. Is there anything that you feel that you've been through that is similar to this? Does it have resonation in any way in terms of what you are currently going through? Or does it give you an opportunity to look at things in a different way? So, if you are joining us here for the first time, remember to hit subscribe. We have a live show every single Tuesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where I am answering your questions. Check out in the description below the link to actually submit your questions. If you have things that you want to know about your business, we focus here on the natural seasons of sales and using that big, beautiful thing in the sky called our moon to actually understand when to shift and rotate into action, when to retreat, when to rest, when to know how to make decisions in your life and business. I kind of call it like my bat symbol. You know, when the bat symbol is in the sky and it's like, oh, yeah, we know help is on the way. And it's this like really motivating thing. The moon is my bat symbol. I can tell by how it looks in the sky where to organize my energy, what to focus on, what's going to feel really congruent. And this works collectively. So, whether you're familiar with moon phases or not, there is a very cool system that we teach at Moon Logic Magic School that helps to propel your business forward. And this is just a really incredible way to connect into your purpose in life. And hey, Joe Neal, I am seeing you're tuning in live and I'm loving that so much. And wow, left hemisphere was overloaded. Okay, there's this really cool thing that we do called the quantum change process. It is a one-on-one session that actually dives deep into like root causes and blockages of things that are going on. And my goodness, the left, we gotta open that up in a whole nother show here. The left side of our brain and the right side of our brain and what happens when we've got overdrive happening. So I absolutely love that. And congratulations on moving through the energetics of that today. So amazingly super cool. Thank you for being here. Go ahead and hit subscribe and share this with somebody that might find it really interesting. Maybe that's gone through some challenges in their childhood that could use a boost to really step into that new passion project and to know that you can do this. You've got some skills that are waiting for you to tap into. And I will see y'all next week.